Alright, I'm Lee for LJ Wellness. I work with men who are stuck in their own heads, stuck in their past, or stuck in patterns that they can't see me break. Now, by using lived experience, mindset work, and practical tools, I help guys reconnect with the people who they really are and build a life that actually feels worth living. If that resonates with you, you can find me at LJ Wellness. I made a go into folks' houses as a wee guy and just thinking, I'd love to wake up here Christmas morning. And it's no, I love my family.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean? I love them to bits and they love me. But there was that, wanted to feel somewhere else, wanted to be belonging somewhere else. But then that limiting belief coming in. I was broken, but I had this, because whenever I got caught on the 19th of December, right before Christmas 2019, COVID then fucking bit the start of the following year, and then it affected all the time bars. So they basically got extended to there's no time bar and all this kind of stuff. So I thought, right, I'll be up within a year, go and get this scene, blah blah blah. So I was out in bail for 2 years, 4 months.
Right.
That fucked my head more than actually going to jail. Lost it all. That was back in 2018. And then I started building up again.
Aye.
And then doing alright for myself, going to meetings, whatever else. But then it just takes one tap on the shoulder, and this is where the folk think it's a substance, it's a problem. It wasn't. I'd never got to the root cause of what my problem was until I was in the jail. And I thought, you know what, I've been training all my fucking life for this. So, and I've been studying my arse off in the jail, books, courses, whatever else. I thought, how can I make an impact in society? But I had to make sure that I was in a good place first. I can't pour water out an empty jug, and this is the stuff that I hang with guys. Is you need to make sure that when we're doing our core values, for example, are you one of your core values? No. How no? Because without you, none of the rest of them fucking exist.
So, welcome to Social Sessions. Today we're joined with Lee Jack. How you doing, Lee?
All right, Sean, man, aye. Yourself?
Aye, no, it's great to have you. Obviously, I met Lee when we were up at Parliament talking about kind of how we prison reform and stuff like that. And obviously we spoke about getting you on. So what I'll do, Lee, I'll just do what I do. I guess I'll take you back to your childhood and that. Where did you grow up?
Grew up in a wee town called Armadale, out in West Lothian. Myself, my mum, my stepfather, and I've got a brother and 2 sisters there, I know. Before that, there was a lot of kind of chaos in that in life.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of chaos. There was a bit, we spoke about it earlier, about alcoholism, a bit of DV and stuff like that in the house. It was quite a chaotic upbringing. It's not a bad mouth parents, nothing like that at all. But I kind of grew up in that kind of small town mining village mentality out there, very Protestant stronghold and all. You're kind of was bred into all that stuff. But I was a loving household in its own way. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's the story with a lot of guys that kind of end up, and obviously we'll talk about like your prison stuff and what you're doing now. But I think a lot of the guys that we have on here, that's kind of it's back then. It was a lot of parents drank at the weekends. It was a bit the father was out then working, and do you know what I mean? It was just the way it was. So, what was your school years like? Can you remember your school years and stuff?
School was tough, man. I just mind I didn't feel like I fucking fitted in anywhere. Don't feel allowed to swear, but
No, you can swear.
didn't know if I was didn't feel like I fitted in anywhere. Do you know what I mean? I used to kid on, I was into things. Do you know what I mean? I'm 7 year in recovery, right? I'm not 7 year clean, 7 year in recovery. And I mean back whenever I was working through the fellowship and stuff like that, no, I would do anything just to be accepted off of folk.
Aye.
Do anything just to be somebody's pal, make up stories, fantasies, stuff like that. Got involved in the flute band because it was a way to try and seek validation from my parents. Well, my mum, my stepdad, my father wasn't really into it. I mean, my very first addiction was panini stickers. Do you know what I mean? I had to have the big bundle, the big elastic band around it. It was like a fucking Bible. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's status, but isn't it? When you're in the playground with a big bundle of stickers, that was
folk status.
Aye, of course. Do you know what I mean? I think obviously we've read similar books, and Gabor Mate talks a lot about that, didn't he? Like validation and in the house, and when you're trying to seek that validation. So, do you think that when you were kind of in school, that was what you were trying to do? Is kind of whatever kind of was the in thing at that time, you were trying to maybe merge into that?
Tried my best to. Now, we come from a family, but we never had a lot.
Yeah.
So it was anything to try and fit in. And what I've done since reading the books and looking at all that kind of trauma and acceptance, forgiveness, core values, limiting beliefs, all that stuff that I coach guys we know, it's my trauma came from before I was studying Armadale. You know what I
Aye,
mean? So I stayed with, and this is my family, we're really doing their best to help us out. So I got took off mama for a while,
aye,
and I stayed with various different family members. You know, I
yeah,
stayed with my grandfather, I stayed with my dad, I stayed with my aunt Laura, I stayed with this one, that one. So what did that teach me? But I moved back with my mum when I was 6 year old, and it was at the birthday of my young brother. And I made the people pleasing, but again, Sean,
I know.
where whenever I was, my mum and dad were going through courts, and I was with my ma, I'd say I wanted to stay with her. I was with my dad, I said I wanted to stay with him because I didn't want folk to feel let down off us. And I carried
Aye,
that into my adulthood. So what did that teach me before I was 6 year old? That my primary caregivers were passing us about.
yeah,
Must be something wrong with me.
I know.
I must be broken.
Because a child will always, a child will always think it's their fault. Like it doesn't matter what happens. Like even if there's an argument between parents,
Mm-hmm.
the child will think, what have I done wrong here for this to happen?
100%.
So obviously, as a young kid, you probably think, why am I not getting accepted in any of these households?
100%. And then whenever you go into that, when you go into it further and you look at you've got the chance now to, we're talking about it earlier on, no, you can't run away from something that's inside. You need to turn back and look at it. Now, what did that teach? Or what have I learnt through that? That I would have sold anything, part of me, just to seek attachment. Do you know what I
Aye,
mean? And you lose, Gavin Marty does a bit in one of his books about attachment versus authenticity.
yeah,
No, whenever you go out there, you're a wee guy, you're maybe not getting your emotional needs or physical needs or spiritual needs, whatever it may be, in the household who have your primary caregivers. You then go out and you seek it elsewhere. And you
definitely.
seek it off other wee guys, drinking tonic, or cider, or smoking joints, or smoking fags, fighting, whatever it may be, selling panini stickers. Do you know
Aye,
what I mean? Stealing
aye,
milk. You start seeking it. And what happens is all these wee guys are all just mentoring each other.
I know.
And that goes, well, for me, right into my adulthood, right through teenage years, right through being a wee arse, tried the army, didn't like that, this job, that job, always looking for something outside me to make me feel hungry inside.
I don't know if you know. Do you know James Docherty?
Fairly James
James
Docker.
talks about peer orientation, and
Mm-hmm.
it's so true. I think when you're lost at that age, it's your orient your it's your peers who you learn that from.
Mm-hmm.
So if your peers are the people that maybe, I don't know, because you sometimes get guys who are lucky. You'll speak to some guys who maybe went through similar to you, and they'll attach to a good friend
Mm-hmm.
with a really strong family network,
Yep.
and they become part of that family, if that makes sense,
Aye,
and
aye,
they
aye.
grow within that family.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that doesn't happen. It's usually the other way about, but
Mm-hmm.
you do know, I do know people that that's happened to. Do you know what I mean? Where they go, no, no, they looked after me and brought me up, and
Mm-hmm.
that was the way it was.
More helpful surroundings.
But if you are orientating towards maybe the other children who are more like you,
Mm-hmm.
that have got traumas, that have got, it's trauma bonding as well. I don't know if it's maybe at that age you would call it trauma bonding, but it's similar where your background is molding you.
Mm-hmm.
So what you see is that probably, and in a way you probably don't think you're good enough
Mm-hmm.
for what the other people are doing. Do you know what I mean?
Aye. 100%. I made a go into folks' houses as a wee guy and just thinking, oh, I'd love to wake up here on Christmas morning. And it's no, I love my family.
Of
Do you know
course.
what I mean? I love them to bits and they love me. But there was that wanted to feel somewhere else, wanted to be belonging somewhere else. But then that limiting belief coming in, I'm not good enough.
Aye.
And that carries on again right through life until you can sit and look at it and do a cost benefit analysis and go,
Yeah.
there's my reasons why I think I'm not good enough. I've been made to feel like that. A teacher said this or whatever. You look at the stuff you have accomplished.
I know.
See, try to rewrite the limiting,
I know.
reframe the beliefs so you can believe in yourself. You don't need other folks' validation. That
No.
kind of stuff.
I think, and obviously we'll go into that, like, but I think that is what people need to realise is there's no magic wand for this stuff, and you really do. You need to face the biggest problems you have. Do you know what I mean? And you need to face them like head on, or they'll just keep coming back. I remember when I was doing my counselling, my trauma counsellor said to me, like, because sometimes I used to just go like get anxious or feel just that rubbish for no reason, and I
Hmm.
couldn't put my finger on it. And it was Jeremy who says to me, he says, Sean, it's, trauma's like an alligator. It can just lie dormant for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But when it bites,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll bite whenever it wants to bite, it hurts. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, he says, you don't need to be, there's no rhyme or rhythm to it. Do you know what I
No.
mean? And I think you need to realise that. Do you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? That I think you got a lot of people maybe in recovery that lapse and go, I don't know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, you're not, you maybe don't know supposed to know what happened, but you need to learn for it.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
You can just sit there and something happens or comes up for you, that anxious feeling. Or these are, folk call them triggers, they're like gold dust.
Yeah.
Because you're that, like, so what's happening to me in this moment? Is there anything that's really a threat right now?
Yeah.
Is this an intuitive response where I need to run away from an alligator or a lion or a tiger or a who's fire?
Yeah.
Or is this a trauma response? Is this something that my body's felt similar to this? Is it maybe somebody's made a flippant remark
Yeah.
and it's maybe taken me back to my childhood with something I've no healed for, something I've no actually sat and stared at and looked at? If this person said that to me, made me feel like that. No, they didn't make you feel like that. That's who you chose to feel like that.
Mhm.
That's an influencing factor. Till you go back, you can look at that. But these things are, I look at my triggers now with love. Do you know what I mean? It's
Aye.
like looking at it, go up, whoa, because it can still come up for us. Like, who you talking to? You want to go down unhelpful coping strategies,
Your ego and stuff. Aye.
ego and
I
stuff
know.
like that, and then you pull it back in. You're like, well, where's that coming from? Maybe financial insecurity. Maybe I've no
Definitely.
equity.
I think, see when you talk about triggers, I always talk, I mean, when people say triggers, a trigger's a mechanism
Mhm.
on a tool, right? So a trigger needs to be pulled.
Mhm.
So see like a gun or a rocket or a whatever, like a nuclear bomb, there's a trigger for it.
Mhm.
Somebody needs to push it.
Mhm.
But it's when it pushes it, so if you imagine like a gun, just for talking sake, the trigger's there, but you need to pull that trigger
Mhm.
for it to do the damage.
Hundred
You know
percent.
what I mean?
Mhm.
So see if you imagine the triggers that you get, your finger might be on that trigger,
Mhm.
but it's up to you whether you pull it or not. Do you know
Hundred
what I mean?
percent.
And that is the same with any kind of trigger. See if you're
Mhm.
triggered by something, it's the same as we were talking about, like when you're maybe in company and people have got a view on you because you were maybe in prison
Mhm.
or whatever. They're allowed that opinion.
Mhm.
It might trigger you and go, who do you think you are? And that kind of stuff inside you. But are you going to allow that to trigger you?
Exactly. You've got things are going to happen out here. You know what
Yeah.
I mean, people are going to see things. You're going to come across the eventualities, and maybe people pass away or whatever. That's maybe a traumatic event.
Aye.
But the trauma's a shift inside you. Now,
Aye.
as Mahatma Gandhi says, no, we only, what's it he says? Something about we only we only let folk affect us if we give them permission. Or people can only affect us if we give them
Aye.
permission.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you can say whatever you want to me. You can call me an arsehole or whatever, or a criminal or a crackhead or whatever it used
Hmm.
to be in my life. It's up to me how I choose to like that. You could also be saying, what do you want in McDonald's? Take it back to basics, a bunch of noise phone at your
Aye.
mouth.
No, I know. I think when you look at like old, like, so see if you take what, so the Western ideology is pretty new, right? Like if you look at it in like historical terms, Western ideology is quite new. Eastern ideology, whereas is been about for a long, long time, and you've got like kind of the Buddhist kind of way of looking at, and Hindu, even kind of the older kind of religions, and they seem to be a bit more. The Western stuff's a lot more kind of about ego and about what you can lose and all this kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And whereas when you look at Eastern stuff, it's about looking at yourself a bit
Mm-hmm.
more. Do you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I'm not saying that because a lot of religions, like especially Christianity and Islam and all these, I mean, everything will get you to look at yourself, but not in the same way as an Eastern ideology.
Aye.
You know what I mean? Eastern ideology, what you say there, like about Gandhi and stuff like that, it is about the world's going to do what the world's going to do. You can't influence. You can influence your part in that,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't influence what people think or do or anything like that.
100%.
And I think in this world at this moment in time, there's so many people. Take like the way, but like if you say something on Facebook and people take it wrong, like comedians,
Mm-hmm.
don't watch it. Do you know what I mean? If you watch, go and stick Frankie Boyle on or whatever, you know what you're going to get. Do
It's
you know what I
sorry
mean?
to not have an opinion. Do
Yes.
you know what I mean? And you're right, folk jump out of the back of that. Folk have got an opinion on this one, that one, the colour of next door's carpet, whatever it may be. Like, it's all right to turn round and say, I don't know enough about the subject to have an opinion.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? I wish
Aye.
folk may be better folk to say that.
I
Do you,
know.
you ask 10 different folk at the best workout at the gym, you get 20 different opinions. Like, it's a fucking break, man.
Aye. No. I think, and there's a lot of big voices out there as well that don't actually, that's no actually, they're no good voices to listen to. Do you know what I mean? People that tell you some, like, mental health's no a thing and mental health's a choice and all that. No, I understand that concept. Do you know what I mean? There's definitely, and we'll go into that later because I know you're quite good on that, Lee. But it's, mental health's definitely a thing. Do you know what I mean? It's no like as if it's no there. I understand the concept of, do you buy into it and how much you buy into it and how much you let it. But it's still a thing. Do you know what I mean? So see, it's dangerous, I think, to teach young boys that anxiety's not a thing or depression's not a thing or whatever that's dangerous to me. You shouldn't be doing that. Do you know what I mean?
No, definitely no. I think you're absolutely right. That mental health and poor mental health as well as good mental health is definitely a thing. 100%. No, you ask 100 kids what they want to be at the school. Do they want to say caught up in addiction or do they want to have trauma or anything like that? Is that a choice? No. But there is ways and means to get through it. No, it doesn't need to define us as a person.
Aye.
There's an identity beyond that label of somebody who suffers with poor mental health. There's identity beyond that. It's, again, if they're willing to do the work, they're willing to look at it, and that's self-exploration, as opposed to just, but a lot of us have done for years, trying to smother it with drugs or crime or trying to fit in. Or,
It's like going. It's like a symptom of whatever you're feeling, whether it be trauma or whatever. But these are all symptoms of that stuff that's that inner child that I'm sure we're going to speak to later on. So I'm going to talk to you just a wee bit more. So when did you, if I can take you back to maybe like high school and that, is this when it started, when you started getting out of trouble and stuff like that?
Aye, so I was always really clever at school. I was really pretty intelligent. But back then it was cool to be a wee knob. You know what I mean, it's cool to be an arsehole back then. So you start getting involved in wee bits of cider and tenner bits of fucking salt bar and whatever else. And then it comes out with the parties and whatever else. And again, it was just trying to fit in. I was getting into trouble, getting into bother. They pull us down at the door. My mum put us into the army. Lasted fucking, didn't even get my basic training out. I hated that. I was in the second year of the Scottish school leavers. And then I came out and it was just party time for there on in. Doing it was just my room at the top in Bathgate and involved in punting ecstasy and all this kind of stuff. I was my own best customer. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
But my own worst account.
No, I know. And I think obviously when you're growing up, you've got a few years you try to find yourself, but when you're really chaotic, you can create a lot of damage in the way, which then builds upon that childhood trauma that you're talking about. Do you know what I mean? So what was it? Just kind of fights and that you were getting involved in, lead stuff like that?
Bits of fighting, rolling about, just your basic teenage laddie stuff. To be honest, it wasn't until I was in my 20s and started getting involved in crime that it started getting a bit worse. I made you look at criminals. I made you actually lying to guys at the school, saying my dad was some kind of drug mogul and stuff like that, because I wanted to be known. Wanted to be big, not just in stature, just wanted to be the big fucking cut the Don Curly Whirly. And I wasn't. Just terrified with fear. As I got older into my 20s, I started punting bits of hash, went back away, stopped taking drugs for a while, but then I started punting bits of hash. This was even before like grass was really about. It was soap bar and black and whatever else. And even like, I used to take coke. So I'd always say I'd never ever take something that I'm going to sell. I done all right with it. No, I had a roofing business, I had a wedding card business. I had
listening to Tony Montana.
Trying my best there. And I got back involved in, well, I didn't get back involved, got involved. It was never prop first came about. But we were selling bits of council. And my mate saying, I just start punting that. So, this is how much is that? I said, it's extortionate. How can I sell it for £100 a gram? Back then, this was back in, it was 2005, 6, 4, whatever. And going to a bunch of boys for there for doing fucking Falkirk area, and so I bring up to Armadale, and nobody really had a lot of it.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Nobody had a lot of it. And I
So
could,
were you at, I mean, obviously this is a hard question, but at that moment in time, were you kind of feeling that this was you? You were fitting in now, and this you'd found yourself.
getting accepted a wee bit, aye, because I was involved in some other kind of community,
Aye,
involved in something that take me away from myself. Somewhere where you feel validated. There's Lee the drug dealer. There's
yeah,
Lee the guy that'll go and shoot this. There's Lee that'll go. It wasn't even Lee then. It was T-Fal.
aye,
He'll go and do this and he'll go and do that, and it was a lot of bullshit. But I played up to that character.
aye,
Played up to that character. We're going out and doing things for folk and taking care of certain jobs which I'm not going to go into, and hurting people, and
aye,
really was hurting myself. Not just hurting folk physically, financially, severing relationships, whatever.
aye,
It was a kind of cycle for there where, and you know what you're doing wrong, but it's like you get addicted to the power, and you get addicted to the chaos and that, as much as
I
you do
know,
the fucking
aye.
drugs and all that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. Wanting to be somebody, and it just takes us back to a wee guy.
I think obviously when did you first go into the jail? I don't want to jump too far, but when was the first time you went into the jail?
I didn't get my first sentence till I was 40-year-old.
Was it so you'd quite a good run at it
A
then?
good run at it. You'd be a millionaire 10
Aye,
times
no,
over,
I know, I
but
know.
shite at
Aye,
it.
aye, I know. It's the story of me. I mean, see when you actually think about how many people are actually have got into it, done it, and got out
Mhm,
and been clean. Like I don't know, you can count in one hand, like
mhm.
the amount of people that I know. Do you know what I mean? That have, and even at that, you don't know how much they're living the way they want to be. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
It's like I try and see that, like, see when you see the amount of people that people look up to and people think these big names and whatever. So most of the time, these people are broken inside. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And no, all of them. Listen, I've met a few that you would go, right, okay, that's probably the way you are. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And but then you're starting to look into like sociopathic, psychopathic tendencies,
Yeah,
because nobody's really like that, and nobody really wants to go in and hurt somebody and all that. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Most people have got that kind of empath, empathetic or whatever, and it's like you say, you know you're doing wrong,
Mhm.
but you still can do it, or you just don't think about it. Do you know what I mean? You put it back in your head and go. So one of the ones a lot of people used to say was, "Well, somebody else is going to do it." Do you know what I mean?
They're not buying off me, buying off somebody
Aye.
else.
Do you know what I mean? Aye. So you're lying. I'd be as well doing it. So So when was it? So what kind of stuff were you starting to get involved in, Lee? Then obviously, like, was it some serious stuff you were starting to get involved in?
So I'll go right back to kind of 2011 roughly. Yeah, 2010, 2011. I was putting bits of prop, couple of inches here and there, kind of escalated pretty quickly. But what I didn't, but I wasn't showing on the outside was I was batting hunters at as well.
Aye,
I was married at the time. That marriage fell through due to my actions, which
aye,
I'll disclose bits and bobs on here, by infidelity and stuff
aye.
like that. Then whenever I was away from my ex-wife, my addiction had us on its own. Do you know what I mean?
So you're still on the face of it. I've got this stuff, but you're still looking to get validated on, like, maybe that by other women, by other. Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
Aye. Gabba talks about the realm of the hungry ghost, the
aye,
big belly and the wee net, you can't
aye.
get enough. It doesn't matter what it was, Sean. If it was
I
could
know.
be trainers, could be cars, could be motorbikes, could be women, gambling, with a sharing a racehorse at one
Aye.
point. I'm like, "Ah, what the fuck do I know about horses, man? I can't even walk a fucking dog." You know what I mean? Having a laugh. And it was all bullshit. It was
Aye,
all bullshit. My using it really, really spiralled for there. I moved from Armadale down to Falkirk to get away. I had a wee boy in that time.
But
Um,
how much were you taking your worst? Even at yeah, because I know you were on the face of it quite a successful criminal, but what were you kind of taking in the background?
In the background, it started off a gram, roughly about a day. At my
Aye.
very worst, I was smoking between 5 and 6 grams a day. Man.
Wow. Crazy,
Horrible
isn't it?
stuff, man.
I know.
I
I know you
just,
can't. You try and explain to people, and I try and say to the young team as well. It's like you cannot shovel enough money at this stuff once you get to that stage. Do you know what I mean?
no.
And it's no that it's becoming. I don't know about you, but it's becoming normalised. Like cocaine. this is a danger. So I think the worst drug to me is drink, right? I'll stick by that, and it does the most damage to society. Most people are in jail through drink, blah blah blah. But cocaine addictive rating, like once you get addicted to it, once you actually get addicted, you can't spend enough money on it. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're saying how much you're smoking. It's crazy, and it's how many boys have you seen who are on the face of, like as we talk? Oh look, he looks as if he's getting great, and then you hear he's on the pipe, and it's like 6 months later, and they're nothing. Back in the jail because they're trying to rob somebody or something. Do you know what I mean? And you're like,
Well, we're having crack parties and that, apparently. They're just sitting getting folk round and just washing back and sitting getting cracked up. When I was first in it, nobody knew.
aye,
Nobody knew at all. Crack wasn't really. Have you seen it on like The Wire and
know.
things like that? You seen it in the telly. But I was selling to guys in Edinburgh and they were washing it back, and I was buying it back off them at that price.
aye.
At the price they were putting out at. So I was giving them gear and then buying it back washed. You're like, oh, fuck, am I doing so? I had it in my head. If I didn't learn how to do it, I'll never be able to do it. It was all a matter of time, Sean, before. There's no hardware spoon. It was a bicarbonate you're be paid down. So, and then, but everything, it just robs everything off you. But I used to justify, right? I used to go, but it's no costing me anything. Well, it fucking is. It's costing your relationships with your friends, family, son, whatever else. Real, true friendships. Your relationship with yourself, but it's not really hitting me in my pocket because you're punting enough to, well, you think you're punting enough to cover it. Maybe there at that. But your cash
But when
flows.
you become, when that becomes your kind of, like your priority is like money. And if you've got enough money for your family and I've got enough money for the big house and the flashy car and this and that, then it's all right. Like whatever, do you know what I mean? I'm still providing. Do you know what I mean? But you're kind of dying inside. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're kind of whittling away. And I think, like as you say, it's like going that age from 20 right up to 40. You've probably done quite well to stay away from it all. Then, do you know what I mean? Because obviously we spoke about it, and we'll probably like there was parts like when we were talking, like we disagreed a wee bit because you did go into jail and it helped you. Do you know what I mean? And that's to me that's the minority. Do you know what I mean? But we'll go into that later. But I think looking at your whole story, it's really interesting because I think you've went through quite a lot of different stages. Do you know what I mean? You've went through like the stage of kind of small drug dealer, big drug, then losing it all. Do you know what I mean? To your own actions,
Right.
and then having to reevaluate everything again. Do you know what I mean? And you've managed to do amazing. Like you really have.
There was a couple of dips left even after that, and I lost it all. That was back in 2018. And then I started building up again.
Aye.
And then doing all right for myself, going to meetings, whatever else. But then it just takes one tap on the shoulder. And this is where the folk think it's a substance, it's a problem. It wasn't. I'd never got to the root cause of what my problem was until I was in the jail. Then back in 2019, I was back planting a gear again, and moving gear and shifting weight for an outfit and whatever else. And then 6 months later, I'm doing all right for myself. Back fucking padded again, got a building company, doing this, roofing, doing that. 19th of December, fucking lost it all again. So I went from being homeless with one tracksuit, having all this nice stuff, the car and the house and the wife and whatever else, to having fuck all within the space of a few years. Ruined another lassie's life by introducing her to coke. She's doing all right for herself. And then to 2018, just completely slid off. My sister, I've been a psychosis, and my sister found me ready to blow the back of my nut off.
I know.
And then fast forward another 2 years, I lost it again because I got back in with the money and whatever else. And then COVID, but on the 19th of December, that's when I got caught.
So what do you think? See, like the new, obviously, so see way back 2005 and stuff like that, like organised crime obviously wasn't what it is now. And I think, I don't know that where it's went, it's blew up obviously in Scotland, right? And it's like you've got these young boys that are, you want to try and steer away from it because it's so hard. It's like me and you understand. I know so many people that have been involved in organised crime who are great guys, and they've got hearts of gold and all that, but they are who they are, and that's it. But they would also tell a young boy to stay away from it. They wouldn't, do you know what I mean? They wouldn't go and get young guys at 13, 14, go right, come in and let's start. They would actually be like, "Wee man, don't do this."
Aye, this isn't
The
funny.
guys I know anyway, do you know what I
Aye.
mean? Would be like, "This, it's a fucking shit. It's a hard life."
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have got this concept in their head that he's a drug dealer. It's a fucking hard life.
It's no.
Do you know what I mean?
Used to be able to go away and do what you're doing and make 5, 10, 20 quid, whatever, right? Guys are spinning boxes now and they're fucking maybe making enough for a fucking new pair of Louis Vuitton trainers.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? It's like you're running that risky 30, 40 grand, whatever the
know.
prices are, to make a quid on it.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I know.
One person bumps, you've got another 30 or 40 to make up. It's
I think that's why the drug trends are changing. I think that's why you're now getting the synthetic opiates and people willing to put like a tizalam out and all that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's because you're no getting the same. It's no like the way it was in 2005 to 2010 when you were getting massive rewards for it. Do you know what I mean? So I think people are starting to move now onto different, and you can't really keep up the drug trends now. Do you know what I mean? The drug trends are changing so much. So what was it, see, like at your kind of best, even if you can think about it, when you were living that high life, what was the things that you were doing that were like, maybe they were keeping you in it?
being able to fund myself, being able to actually have a few quid in my pocket was one of the primary drivers. We're seeking validation for everywhere. I'd go away and fucking on to adult work and all that kind of stuff and all that kind of debauchery and that goes with it. Away at the casino, doing all this and blah, 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 blah. Looking back now, there wasn't a high point, Sean.
Aye.
There wasn't a high point. It was kid unknown that was a high point.
Yeah.
No, and the pals that I had involved in that, one of the pals that, and it's no saying I've cut them all out and whatever else and fucking joining the fucking missionaries, whatever, but they're no part of my life anymore.
Aye.
The people who didn't want me for anything other than for be myself, they were the ones that come up to jail and seen us. They were the ones that got the least amount of my time.
I know.
The scraps of my time. But you say that with the high life, being able to go out and buy things for yourself, go and get a brand new Plurimus jacket, or go and get a new this or a new that. But again, that's new.
Solely material, wasn't it?
Solely material, aye.
Even if you can buy the big 10 grand holidays, and that, I'm not saying like we would all like money's in this world. It would be great to go these holidays and all that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to lie and say, Nate, you don't want to have money, but at the cost of what? Do you know what I mean? And I say that in the same breath as like Smirnoff and all that. They should hold themselves accountable as well for the amount of fucking damage they've done. Do you know what I mean? But they don't get looked at the same way. But to me, they're just drug barons and all. Do you know what I mean? Legal ones, but and big pharma as well. Do you know what I mean? Like the stuff they do. But so there's a massive world about there's all different things that you can look at that ruin communities and ruin this and ruin that, and having the big fancy holiday at the end of it, we would all love to have that big 10 grand holiday. See if you go to Craig Tara, right, for the week, and you've got down because my missus is that. See if I go down there and I give my wains, my full time and energy, and it's the same holiday. It's that one's much better. Well, it's not. I'm no, but you know what I'm talking about.
100%.
It's like it's all about what you make of things.
We were away, just when you talk about that, we were away earlier this year, so my first holiday was Seaton Sands since I got it, right? I've been to Mexico, I've been to Australia, I've been all Europe, blah, 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 right? And I said it and I stand by it, that's one of the best holidays I've ever been on. And it was 5 days with me. I went into the jail, a dad, a one laddie. I came out with a missus and 4 step-wains, right? 3 of my additional support leads, and I love them all. This is my home, right? Went to Craig Tara, the missus, the 4 wains, had to take 2 motors, had the dogs for 5 days, go to the Sunday night, we'll stay another day, and just, on that last day when you're pulling everything out of the fridge just to cook it before you go home, and bacon and fucking rolls and got like that half a pizza, and it was fucking amazing. And see, Kevin, it was that presence where you're just you and the missus or the kids, and we had a wee fire down at the beach, and the wee stepdaughter, she's dancing about it like fucking Moana and all that. And my laddie had a beautiful moment at that beach, man. And even he says, going to the jail, I'm getting emotional here, going to the jail is one of the best things that ever happened. He says, I much prefer this. He told him, he's like, I miss you, Dad. I miss you too, kid. And the relationship that we've got now, because I gave him my presence. I gave my stepkids my presence. I gave my missus my presence. Yesterday, we had a healing weekend where we just switch your phones off. I'm
Aye.
just like, right, let's just get absorbed in one
Yep.
another. I'm not talking about just like we're getting
I
absorbed.
know. No, I know.
It's that just being, we were cooking dinner together. We were away at a retreat thing yesterday. Sound bath meditations and blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah. You'd asked me about that 5 years ago. Like, get yourself to fuck. I'm never fucking.
This is it. It's one thing like so. And it's like see myself, Lee. Right, I would never try and say for a minute I'm living the way you are. Right, you're like much further on, like, conscious wise, all that kind of stuff. I don't. I'm not doing the work that I should be doing, and I make excuses for it and do this, that, but I have got a massive void, and we were talking about it earlier. I have got a big void that being in prison for something I never done does kill me, man. It's like it's something that I need to go over, right? And I will. I'll get over it. I will. And it's just there's so much to it. But I think when you see people like yourself, you're such an inspiration to people, especially guys like myself. Do you know what I mean? Who want to get to where you are. Do you know what I mean? And able to be that vulnerable. This is what I love. It's like people that maybe, I mean, 5 years ago, you probably would have been a bit vulnerable, Lee. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'd have been like, right, well, fuck it.
There'd been a kitchen party full of Charlie and Buckfast or something. You're putting the world to rights,
Aye, if the right bird was talking to you and started saying, asking you about how your childhood was, Philip.
I never got crispy pancakes.
I know that. But no, it's like that. So I wrote a book called Authenticity and Chaos, right? And it was all about how you couldn't be your authentic self in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And I still stick by that. I still stick by it. I mean, you might challenge me on this, right? But I still stick by that you can't really be your authentic self in prison. I think you need a mask. Do you know what I mean? Maybe, I don't know if it's a difference in like length of sentence. I don't know, but certainly for the 15 years that I done, when I went into 19, I didn't even know what mask I was wearing because by that time you're part of the furniture. It was like you've done like 7-8 years. You're just you're. I don't know how to explain it. And we'll go into the jail then, right? So what age were you, Lee, when you go to jail?
40.
40. So
first sentence of 40-year-old.
are you broken when you go in there?
I was broken, but I had this because whenever I got caught on the 19th of December, right before Christmas 2019, COVID then fucking bit the start of the following year. So 2020 was never lost. There was folks like Drap deed in Wuhan and all that, right? Wuhan High Street. And allegedly. And then it affected all the time bars. So they basically got extended to there's no time bar and all this kind of stuff. So I thought, right, I'll be up within a year, go and get this seen, blah, blah, blah. So I was out in bail for 2 years, 4 months.
That's it.
That fucked my head more than actually going to jail. That fucked my head more.
Gear? Was it gear?
Gear, aye.
Gear, aye.
3 kilo weight, 10 kilo grass and some money. I know. And there was money to court a couple of months before that.
Aye, so wasn't he like, it was a lot, we were talking a lot, do you know what I mean? So it's not as if like, it's there's a lot going on there at that time, isn't there? Obviously, I'm taking it, probably worrying about bills and shit like that and all sorts.
Worrying about bills, worrying about the family, not being able to come to terms with what I had done. And earlier that year, I'd had a lapse in my own sobriety in the kind of July. And I stopped taking gear. I had a wee lapse one weekend and ended up fucked again. Blah, 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 blah. And folk were trying to introduce us to plant medicines, DMT, ayahuasca. And I was like, no, very, very close-minded about that. And I went away, I think it was 2020, 2021, went away on ayahuasca retreat. And
That's whilst on bail?
Whilst on bail, aye. I'm not going to lie, I was on bail. Went away and done it. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to go and get a bash. It helped me in the short term. No, but what happened was I was like, I came back, I was trying to run a business, I had a building company, I had solar contracts, we were doing Speen Bridge in Fort William, so Highland Council contracts and stuff. This is because I just flung myself into my work.
Aye.
Because I was trying to distract myself from how I was really fucking feeling. But we went done the ayahuasca and the 2 ayahuasca ceremonies and there was a tumour ceremony here the weekend and it helped me in the short term. But
what do you mean by that? What do you mean it helped? Because I'm interested. I said, what do you mean it helped in the short term?
In the short term, it kind of gave me a bit of realisation. It gave me a time away from society, 3 days away, without the phone, without this, without that. And to kind of give me that introspective. So you go in with your intention, right? So my intention was help me be a better dad, because we always think we're feeling. Help me be a better partner, because we think we're feeling at that day. This is also the trauma for what I'm putting my family through coming out to, and help me be with my addictive personality. Help me be a better person.
So that's what I would go in with.
Aye.
So something like that. Aye.
So something like that, right? So it was mad. So we're all sitting around the ceremony space. We've had rapé and we've had the ayahuasca introductory, and then you get the second class. You're lining with crystals and blah 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 blah. And the woman's up to a proper Peruvian shaman, and it was mad, right? So it's like, cause see, like you ever seen like Doctor Strange, the Marvel film?
Aye.
It's like the wee swirly things, right?
Aye.
So it was like gold cogs, you'd find, and it wasn't even so much a voice; it was a realization. It came out and it's like, they're all asking for your time, they're all asking for your time, they're all asking for your time. And I burst out greeting because I was addicted to my work.
Aye.
I was throwing myself into work. My partner at the time was only asking for my time. My son was only wanting my time. And so I was picking him up, getting him on a Friday, on a Saturday for guys who are out working. We'll go to the time capsule, but we're going to nip in past this job. We're going to pick up this Rolly Felton.
Mhm.
My presence was never there. It was
Do you
never
think
there.
that? Do you think society's broken?
Aye, 100%. You look at them and the folk that are out there busy in themselves, their heads down, try to compare to this one, pine that, blah, 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 blah. I do think the government has got another book out called The Myth of Normal, and it talks
know.
about that kind of stuff.
I believe. I mean, I sometimes go like that, right? Like I work. My missus works, and we don't have a lot of money, but we basically work our ass off for other people to watch our veins.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
It's nuts.
It's to me, when you take it back and strip it back, I go, "What the fuck?" Like, do you know what I'm talking about? It's weird because that is what you're doing.
You're paying for a house that you spend no time in.
I know.
And a car to get you to that place for you to earn the money to pay for the car, to pay for the house, and pay for
Aye.
somebody else to watch your veins.
I know.
So I came out with the jail with one track mind. So this is what I want to do. I want to go and help folk.
So see if I can take you back to the kind of the ayahuasca sessions, right?
Mhm.
So that short term realization, because I've heard a few people saying this with that, it's like gives you a goal for that short term where it doesn't fix you, but it just allows you to it kind of guides you. It basically tells you where you're going wrong. Is that right?
It was, aye. And it was the mere, like, the feeling of it. Because I was working 6-7 days a week. If there was an extra Tuesday, I'd have worked that, I know.
Aye.
When I came back, I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. But then the society, the culture,
know.
the money, the expectations, all that kind of stuff starts coming back in. I came back, I was like, I'm going down to work 3 days a week. I can't about my bare feet and whatever else.
Aye.
That doesn't last long. What I found is you can take as much psilocybin and DMT and ayahuasca and all that kind of stuff, but that inner work still needs to be done. You're never
Aye.
going to be able to just take something and that's you.
Aye, so it's not, see, you get, like, I've seen people saying, I'm microdosing on DMT and all that, and that doesn't work. Do you think that you still need to do, like,
Still to do the inner work.
Aye.
I still firmly believe in that. I mean,
Aye.
I can go out there, I've taken copious amounts of drugs over the years.
aye,
Coke, crack. The only thing I never taken was brown,
Aye.
Valium, acid, whatever. And I do believe that these tools, the psychedelic tools, are there to, they should be utilised
aye,
in a proper manner with a shaman or somebody that's experienced or a sitter or something like that, or even some kind of clinician.
aye.
Is it a clinician you call it?
That is strange that we'll dish out drugs like diamorphine and fentanyl and oxycontin and that, but we won't we won't offer help when it's been proven that these psychedelic drugs can make a difference to people. Do you know what I mean? No healing. I don't believe any drug can heal you.
Mhm.
I think you need to heal yourself. But to maybe guide somebody and show somebody was I think
Definitely.
it's strange that the big pharma companies don't want you looking at them.
Want that? They want consumers. So you take it, right? I'm coming from a roofing background. Do I want paid on that roof, or do I want paid every time it rains on that roof?
Aye,
You want paid every time it rains on that roof.
I know,
You get 100 roofs, you're getting paid all day long.
I know,
Do you know what I mean? So that's what we're looking at. When you look at your Oxycontin and whatever else, it's legal smack.
I
You know
know.
what I mean? Oromorph, all that kind of stuff. It's legal kit.
Yeah.
And to be able to say that, that'll fix you, it doesn't. It numbs pain. It numbs pain. These things give you that chance to go inside and like, give you that kind of that feeling that there's, even if you get the feeling that there's something bigger than me, because this isn't like a use when you're using psychedelics. It's no like having a fucking Charlie Subway or whatever else or a line of Charlie.
Aye,
This is fucking, you're seeing things that you'd be like, whoa, let's just question my whole reality here.
aye,
So if I can question that, maybe I should start questioning myself. A lot of folk will maybe go to an ayahuasca retreat and expect to get a fucking thunderbolt to the back of the head,
aye,
and it doesn't work like that. I thought it did, and it gave me that short-term window. But remember, you still want to participate in life and society and
No.
expectations. You can't heal in the same groups that you go broke in. So if you're sitting around, you're a byproduct of your environment. You sit around about the same folk and you used to carry out the same actions, the same pub, the same football matches, whatever.
Aye.
You're always going to land back where you were. Always going to
I
land back
know.
where you were.
There's that old saying, isn't it? If you sit with six, if you sit with 5 millionaires, you'll be the next millionaire. But if you sit with five, whatever your kind of environment is, into your environment is a huge factor in what's going to make you go. Do you know what I mean? But it's something that I'm really interested in is that, and like, what do you think? It's going to have track a wee bit here, leave it. I'm just. What do you think of CBD and that, CBD oil and that? Because I've heard a lot of good stuff about that as well.
This is why the times I want to say I don't know enough about the subject.
Aye, I don't know enough about it.
I do believe that there is a market for it. Not just a market, that there is help for it. You know, your body's got cannabinoid receptors and stuff like that. I do believe in other plant medicines.
Aye.
That they've been put here for a reason, but there'll be psilocybin, THC, CBD, ayahuasca, DMT, all these others, ibogaine. I do believe that there is, and cannabis.
Ibogaine's a weird one, isn't
They
it?
look
That's
brutal, man.
like,
I didn't fancy that.
I read a book. It was called it was like crack of the skull or something. It was called Cracking the Skull or something like that. And it was like an African tribe. I don't know if you've heard of this, but they use ibogaine.
Right.
And then once you become a teenager or once you become a man, they actually crack your skull.
Right.
To allow, I don't know what it is, it's to allow whatever it is to come out. This is what their belief is. So they actually fracture your skull.
Right.
I mean, it's a dangerous procedure, do you know what I mean? But they fracture your skull to do it. So I read this book and it was this guy's journey about basically plant medicine, going through all this stuff. And I found the ibogaine one really interesting because iboga, is it iboga? Iboga. So did you see the trials they've done on addiction with that? But
no, with the iboga, no, but I've seen a couple of things. There was a guy I used to speak to through in Edinburgh, a guy, Rowan, and he cured his PTSD and depression through
aye.
that.
See,
apparently it was a horrific experience.
No, I've heard, right, I know, I've heard that. So I've heard it's like, so I'm sure there was 10 people participated on it. And I think what happened was, people are going to probably look this up and quote me wrong. So I'm sure there was like 5 or 10 participants. Some big guy had patented ibogaine, right? He patented it and still owns the patent for it.
Right.
But what happened during the clinical trials or whatever it's called, they had 10 addicts. But I think what iboga does is if you take another drug on top of that, it really it enhances it dramatically.
Like an abuse kind of thing.
No, I think so. See, if you take heroin or you take crack, I think it enhances it. I think it really bring I think the poly drug use on it's strong.
Right.
So they were kind of told, do not use while you're taking this. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure one of the participants used and died.
Is that right?
But see, the other 9, they went on to be fully cured the addiction, never ever touched a drug again.
There's maybe massive studies. So, like, I've read books with like Dr. Rick Strassman and stuff like that about DMT, and there was studies back in the 60s about how this can help people coming back for war, how can it affect people with depression, anxiety, all that kind of stuff. You look at, I believe that, don't believe that drugs aren't completely addictive, but if they were that addictive, then everybody that touches them would all be addicts.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
No, I agree with you. It's people's upbringing and people's view and perspective on life, which causes addiction. Do you know what I mean? It's no, it's what you're harbouring inside that causes you. Because what you find is when you find a drug that works, you've found something that it's like a symptom. So if you find something that works, you've found something that works for that small period of time. So you kind of grab onto that with everything that you've got. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, but in the long run, you know it's not going to be any good. You do know that in your head.
Yeah.
But you're still willing to take that just to get out your head. I mean, some people, you've obviously been in prison, Lee, right? And you know some people's story is fucking horrendous. Like really, really horrific. I mean, I don't know, like mine's was I had a good upbringing, like at my like, but there was just the usual kind of upbringing. I had a very normal upbringing, but I used to look at some of my pals who maybe looking back now they were going through things and they were allowed to stay all night and stuff like that. And I used to be jealous of that. I used to be like, I fucking wish I could do that. My mum would make me go in at 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock and things like that. But it's no, you look back now, you go, how lucky you were. Do you know what I mean? But when I was in prison, I was like so shocked at some of the stories that I used to get told. Like I remember a wee guy saying to me, a wee guy for postal, right? But he was saying, I had a great upbringing and all that, right? And I was like, we were talking about, I can't remember, we were on one of the daft courses or whatever it was, right? And he was like, I always remember it. He was saying, and he was being deadly serious. He says, I had a great upbringing when I was growing up. He says it was a shame. My mum and dad were addicts, but, and because I was only a wee guy and the police couldn't lift you, I used to go around and get the gear. And when I was like 6, 7 year old, he says the only thing I can remember that was bad was a couple of times my ma overdosed in the toilet. And I'm going like, he thinks this is a good upbringing. Like this is,
Aye.
but obviously he doesn't know anything different.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't take away the love of his parents.
No.
He obviously felt loved,
Mm-hmm.
but there's you need, do you know what I mean? If you think that's a good upbringing, then you're obviously going to get caught up in the way he was. He was like a very addictive personality, like because he's got a lot of trauma, and he probably will never want to blame his parents.
No.
And you're not blaming, nobody's blaming your parents, but sometimes your parents, what you said earlier, are working with the best bag of tools they've got. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes the parents don't have what is needed. Do you know what I mean?
That's if you look at like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, your psychic, your physical needs, your mental needs, your emotional needs, and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't need to be you've had a chaotic fucking upbringing with alcoholism and domestic violence or anything like that. I know guys that have come up for the nice family where the mum and dad and they're fucking millionaires or the fancy house and all that. They're still fucked
I know.
because they've not got that emotional unavailability. Maybe get handy. These were the ones that had the best of gear at the school. You know what I mean? The best of clays and the first car was spitting you, a wee Saxo spitting you out the box and whatever else. You used to be envious of them. You're like,
Yeah.
bastard, look at it. And then, but they're fucked now. Do
I
you know what I
know.
mean? Because they've not had that, they kind of needs met. That wee guy you're speaking about, no, he's probably still seeking some kind of attachment for his mum and his dad. It's maybe not really felt.
I know.
No, they genuinely loves them. And addicts, the mum and dad, addicts are some of the most loving people you
Of
ever meet
course.
in your life, man.
Definitely.
They're-
Definitely. Especially when you get, I mean, so you get some guys are on the street that genuinely will put their dog first with food.
Aye.
Like you're on the street, sitting on the street, and you give them half a sausage roll with a dog.
Mhm.
And I'm not, but that shows like how, because we were talking about it earlier, how many, I was in prison for 15 years, right? Which is a fucking hell of a long time, right?
Aye.
And I don't know, I think I met, I'm trying to genuinely think of evil people that I met. And I don't think I met any evil people. One or two that you could maybe go, he's maybe psychopathic or whatever, do you know what I mean? But I can't really think of anybody. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I was in with everybody. Everybody's just got a story. Do you know what I mean? And it's how that story plays out. And a lot of people, I don't know. A lot of people, it's hard. A lot of people just, I don't want to ever change. Do you know what I mean? And they think that the way they're doing is the right way they're doing it because that's the way they've been taught.
Mm-hmm.
So if you teach a kid who's kind of brutalized in childhood, and you teach him never always be selfish, be this, do that, he's either going to be very selfish and not give a fuck what he does, selling drugs or whatever, or taking drugs. And I think that's what people don't get. Society doesn't get that part. They don't get that wee inner child that's crying out for help.
That inner child that just wants to feel loved and supported and the chance to express itself. Because we're very good as a society, I know it, like celebrating our kids whenever they're good
I know.
and they meet our expectations. and then shooting them down whenever they're being angry or sad or
I
you're
know.
like, how many times did you hear it growing up, Sean? Stop fucking greeting, I'll give you something to greet for.
I know.
You know what I mean? They're like, well, I mean, I should be able to express myself. And what happens is they can't express themselves fully. They start thinking that, no, the only way I'll be accepted is if I'm good and if I do this and do that and do that. Go back to that prison stuff, man. We said this earlier on, 5%.
I know.
Less than that.
I know.
Less than that. I'm
know.
thinking about even on my flat, there was a couple of boys who blew up. I wouldn't fancy taking a dub up with him.
I know.
But in the same respect, man, I don't think he's a bad guy.
I know.
And that's why, like, I'll still go in and volunteer in jails now.
Aye.
I was the first person to go for Castle Huntly down to, on a work placement to Glenorchy. There's not two guys done it in Perth before me, and I'm grateful for that they paved that way. We're going back to Glenorchy because there's a trauma in there, man.
I know.
It's a fucking trauma factory. It's just warehousing for guys that are fucking been through so much shit, and then they're just hitting them with more shit.
It's a hate factory. We talk about it quite a lot, man. There needs to be a radical change. Society is not ready for the change, right? They don't want it because you see it, and I think the best place to see it, I've said this a few times, is see when you go to the Daily Record and you maybe see like 2 prisoners overdose and die.
Mm-hmm.
See if you look at the comments.
It's disgusting.
That's what society thinks, right? That is your... No, I know it's behind a screen and maybe sometimes people are just being a bit bravado when they're putting their comments on, but that is what they genuinely don't think anything of. 2 addicts dying, they fuck them, they deserve it. And they don't know the ripple effect that's going to have on whoever. Do you know what I mean? Because there is always a ripple effect on people.
Of course there is, man.
So I'll take you to prison, right? What was it? So you see when you first, so was it Glenorchy you went into?
I was in Berlin to start with. I was in Bar.
So what was your arrival like? Because obviously you've been in about it, you've been in about the game for a while, you know, you've been in about organised crime at quite a high end. So what was it like going into prison? Were you scared or were you...
It's mad because I minded feeling that kind of anxious feeling. I thought I was going to go out for my 4 weeks for my background reports and I go taken away that morning at Glasgow High. I minded had this kind of anxious feeling like I never had my phone, I never had my suit, I'd wait until all the rest of the folk had been taken. We were the first ones up. And we got taken into the first night centre in Bar, down the stair, D South floor, I think it was. D North floor, whatever it is. And I don't know, I just felt this, it wasn't like an excitement because being excited is a wrong way to think. It was just something new. It was quite fresh. It was like, right, I'd been waiting 2.5 fucking years on this coming round, so, and I was exhausted. I weighed about 9 stone. I was still on a roof at 9 o'clock the night before I got to jail because trying to fucking get jobs finished and all that stuff. And I felt like a relief, mate. I felt like a relief. And I was in the first night centre because it was still during the kind of COVID. You were banged up for 10 days, me and a co-pilot. No vapes, no nothing, man, sitting there. And I don't know, the reality didn't really hit me properly until I was in Glenorchy, I think. I'd done 7 or 8 weeks in Bar. Then we went up, I got sentenced. 3 weeks later I was in Glenorchy. So it's all quite new. People were coming to visit, still getting your 2 canteens on the man, all that stuff. It was just getting new surroundings. It's never went out of Glenorchy. And that was in the June 2022. And again, getting to know new folk and all that. And then we got involved in the shite out there. I mean, involved in bits of spice and bits of tizzy tabs and buying folks pleas and that off them and blah, 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 blah.
So because to be honest, I don't think we've had MD on the show that's like can describe spice, right? Because obviously, what's spice like? What is the high like on spice?
It's like, I don't know, it's like that. It's no stoned anyway. It's, for me, I'd had a cocaine-induced psychosis before. The first time I tried it was a couple of draws, and I just felt like I was like, that when you're really, really drunk, you're trying to get up the fucking stair as quiet as you can. So I'm trying to walk for the pool table into my gaff, get back in the bed, I had to lie down. But didn't still deter you for taking it. It wasn't so it was on the paper and that still then. So you're burning on an element and blah, 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 blah. But when it next started, or a while later, it started coming in the powder. It was banging it right on the elements and going off in psychotic episodes. I wasn't totally like a spicy. I wasn't sitting smoking all the time. I was more into buying folks praise or cocodamo, or Tegretol and a Kebra and munching and a pina colada and trying to play cards, even doing the tap myself.
It's probably druggy. For me, it was like Zimmer's well, it's time Street Valium and that, do you know what I mean, was in, and that was just a Tizzlam probably, but it was like Street Valium, a Tizzlam, Zimmers, Pregable and all that kind of stuff. That was the stuff that was for me as well. But there was that, I could never see some of the things I've seen with Boys on Spice, like boys pouring kettles the other heat, boiling hot kettles. I remember a boy come out and just cut his throat wide open, like right out. It was, I mean, it was horrific. Some of the things. Was that the kind of stuff you were seeing as well?
100%. It was, you used to hear them at night, Sean, and they're banging on their doors, help, 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 and then you'd hear the mob coming down, and they would through the hatch and try to get nurses up to see them. But the terrifying thing, I'd say, I'd had a couple of shots of the Spice, and it wasn't really my DLC, right? It wasn't some I'd go to every day. Guys were selling their whole gaffs.
Oh,
right?
I know.
There was guys in there with Xboxes, PlayStations, fucking guitars, and within a couple of months, it's all gone. And everyone's on the one guy's room. You can't tell me that guy's grassing on his cell. But the psychotic episodes, and you hear like folk getting blue light, stop breathing, and going off in pure mania, and it's banging doors. Try to go out to get their canteen at fucking 2 o'clock in the morning and wonder how they're not getting opened for the fucking snooker and all at 4 o'clock. You're like, it's fucking middle of the night.
Do you know the dangerous thing with Spice is I know a few boys who it changed, like their psyche broke, but they weren't the same person. Like, see, when they came back and they were like, that's me stopping taking it. I remember thinking he's not the same. Like, there's something different. It was lost. Like, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about with that. Like,
there was a couple of guys that we've seen, and one of the guys, he's like, he was told off a doctor he'd burnt, apparently told off a doctor, obviously he's joking, a mentality, that he'd burnt something in his head with piping it, and it straight in the element. And you could tell this guy he was great. He used to come out and get a laugh, but a football coop on up in the land, he got a game of cards. Could not look you in the eye, Sean. And he stopped. But you're saying that he just could not look you in the eye. He was just like kind of shut down. And then there was another guy who was up at the castle. He came for another prison. He's fucking hiding behind fire extinguisher signs and just. And he got put in next door to me, and he's laughing at cartoons at 4 a.m. I'm like, before we used to say, he used to be like a guy like us.
There's so many people in there need medical help. It's no, it's like, I know it's horrible in the jail, people laugh and all that, right? And it's I don't believe that they mean that. It's just like it takes their head out of what they're going through if somebody else, they're laughing at somebody else's kind of expense. I don't see it as people see it as bullying and bad. No, I get that point of view, but I don't. That's not the way it's done in the prison. It's like some of these guys want to be the clown and all. Do you know what I mean? And they play up. But you do get the ones that you watch and you're like, he isn't well, like he needs help, and I don't understand why it's allowed to take place, because I genuinely think if people seen what went on, because see, you know yourself, right? BBC, ITV, you know, they would go in and do these prison documentaries, and they're nothing like what the fucking jail's like, and they always go out at the end. There's like, they'll pick the one guy that's chasing the castle or something that's going to go, like, do you know what I mean? The prison's been great for me. Do you know what I mean? And you're like, that's not the reality of what's happening. And I don't know why they keep doing it. They keep, the last one they done about Spice, and then they say, it's not as bad as what people think that. And you're like, are you fucking joking, man?
For
it's
real.
like really, really bad. So what about a Tizzlam? That's another one that, like, I know I've probably took a Tizzlam because obviously to the street value, but what was because I know these tabs were just insane. I know there was people just drappened indeed with him. What was that like? What were they?
They were kind of like I've never really been much into downers, right? It's always uppers, coke and crack and all that stuff, right? But if it does me, I would take a couple of Valium to try and bring myself back down. So whenever you're doing a dub up, whenever you're in your gaff, it's like wee acid tabs. That's what look like the old acid tabs, wee 2.0s, wee perforated, but bang that in a cup of tea, maybe one or two of them. And then you just feel like kind of warm, you get the munchies, and but then there's a blackout point. You've no idea what's happening in there.
I know.
So I was made to get out for an escorted day release, Anida, and I was under the influence the night before. I was under the influence, I got spun, I got caught with a phone, got caught with tabs, and I'm getting done for subversive activity, putting fucking closed visits and all that kind of stuff. Just for one night in my gaff, I was already dubbed up. And I was fucking shouting and screaming and shouting to my pal next door, who's he was fucking under
I can't
influence.
even do it, I know. You don't know how much you're taking. That's the dangerous thing, you know. You could be taking, you think you're taking a 0.2 or whatever it is, but you don't know how the fucking how that's been mixed or
No.
how it's
And
been.
that's on a tab taste, so they're not going to, unless you're taking that through a machine, they're just spraying that with a fucking,
I
whatever
know.
it is that they're spraying it with. That's no sitting there methodically going over every
No,
single
that's
tab.
what I mean.
And,
Aye. See, I remember like it was a long time ago, and I'm going back, man. When is it? Like 2008, 2009. No, maybe 2011. We'll say 2011, 2012, right? Somebody sent me here, a boy for postal, right? Who sent me here a picture, like a drawing, right? Like a kid's drawing, and it was like hills and that, and it had like a yellow sun, but it was like a blue background, right? And it said "eat me" on the back of it, right? And I was like, what the fuck's like this, right? And obviously the guy that gave me it is a bit of bam up merchant, right? A wind up merchant. And it's like, what's he fucking talking about? And I says to my pal, and he was like, just try it then. He's not going to. I was like, you fucking try it. So he's obviously ripped a bit off, and you see the size of the bit ripped off. It was massive, right? He ripped a big bit off, and just knowing usual for him, right? But ripped a big massive bit off and took it, and it was fucking wasted, like wasted. And so they'd been doing their colouring them in, like and putting them on the backgrounds of paintings, like children's drawings and stuff like that. I know it got caught ages ago, but it's amazing the way they come up with things. Like it's and as he says, we didn't have a clue how much was on that. Like, but like he was wasted, so I could see straight away like that's mega strong. That
Take
stuff.
half
You know
of
what I
that.
mean? I do you know what I mean? Fuck. And it's again, it's just like Valium. It's just to forget what's happening, and you don't want in. You just want out of that environment. You want away from it, didn't you? You just and see all this. I see it all the time, transforming lives for the better, unlocking potential and all that. See, unless you want to change and you want it's your time to stop. And I think that's what happened with you, Lee. You'd had enough, and you used the prison, that time, to gather yourself. Do you know what I mean? But not a lot of people have the awareness you've got, or that stuff. A lot of people lack that in prison. So I wouldn't give the prison the benefit of the doubt for changing you.
No,
You know
no.
what I mean?
I think that thanking the experience as
Aye.
opposed to having that, because one of the worst things about prison, you know yourself, is all you've got in your hand is time. One
Aye.
of the best things is all you've got in your hand is time.
Aye.
You've got no responsibilities. You don't. It's horrible to say. You don't need to be the dad.
I know.
You can't turn up.
I know what you mean.
You can't do the bills. You can't do the fucking work. You can't do the job. Whatever. So you gotta make it work for you, or it'll fucking work you.
I know.
I mean, so it was like that. Right. First 6 months were rough, buying all sorts of stuff, and then the 7th of January, following year, fucking putting closed visits, fucking robot with screws, blah 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 blah. And then see my laddie shoot at goldfish bowl, see him shoot at perspex box. I'm like that for 3 months. I was like, I'm not having this, man. And it was just that was my turning point. It should have happened way before then. It should have happened back in 2018. It should have happened back in 2020. It should have happened then. But seeing him there, and I was like, if I don't do something, I'm not going to get out of here.
No.
It's as simple as that. I couldn't deal with the feelings of seeing him on the other side of the box. I wanted to go back up Muse. I wanted to go back up Who's Got Anything, fucking blah, blah, blah. And I was taking drugs that I would never even, I didn't know about Tizalam. I didn't know about spice.
I know.
I mean, you used to get amber leaf packets with sprayed on.
You don't know anything about any of these drugs until you get in there.
A fucking fiver for a tray of cocos. Like, what? 2 bucks a face for a tray of cocos.
I know.
And like, it was just, so I thought I need to do something, but it was humbling myself.
I know.
And I did go back to the fellowship. I went to, there was CA coming in there. I worked any whenever I was outside. I go back and touch with my old sponsor who helped me. We're going through the steps and whatever else. And I thought, you can't have enough tools in your belt.
No.
So I was like, no, there's an opportunity. We're always, you heard me at the parliament thing, we're talking about it earlier on. Opportunity. It might not be an opportunity there, but go and fucking make one.
Aye.
So there's no recovery in Glencoe. There was bits of third party sector coming in. SRC were coming in. Recovery Coaches Scotland were coming in. And various others. So this is our social prescription.
I know.
We need something in here.
Yeah.
So got a couple of officers invested in it. No, 2 in particular. one on my flat and one who's now the recovery officer in Glenorchy, who just took a punt. We had a wee space in the CV room where we could go and practice recovery. It was just a check-in, mate.
Yeah,
It's a fucking check-in.
I know.
We're-
But it's huge for people. It's giving people that awareness. It's
Aye.
raising that awareness. And I think that's amazing what you've done, Lee, honestly, today. And I think, obviously, we're going to go on and speak about how that marriage. So, moving away from that criminal life, right? So, you get out of prison, right? And are you solid, or are you wobbling, or...
As far as my recovery goes, it was solid.
Aye,
Whenever I was coming out in home leaves, I was touching base with guys in recovery. So like my old sponsor, a few of my pals, my best pals here in recovery.
aye.
I was touching base with the right folk. I was going to A&A meetings
Aye.
just to make sure I was...
That's on home leaves,
That's
isn't
my
it? Aye, right.
whole leaves, just to keep myself grounded. I had it in my head that I wasn't going to DNA, but I wanted to make sure that, no, it's there for us if I do need to go back. We had a few meetings and stuff. Got released the 3rd of December. And it was... Other needs of mine weren't they solid, like my physical needs. Where the fuck am I staying?
Aye.
How am I going to get there? I left Castle Huntly at the back of 10 like that. You've got a social work appointment at
I know,
1:30.
I know.
How am I meant to get from Castle Huntly to Dundee to Edinburgh to Livingston
I know.
with 3 years worth of stuff? Luckily, I had a partner. I've got a missus,
I know.
Lindsay.
No, I know. Listen, I'm the same, and I don't know how they do it. And some boys get recalled for not making the visit.
No, it's
Do you know what I
fucking,
mean?
it's ridiculous.
No, I know. And there's the obstacles that you put in. We're luckily, right? We've got a family, we've got a missus. We're on that lucky side, right? And you've got to see how grateful and lucky that you actually are for having that. Do you know what I mean? And we're lucky that I know that we've got a wee bit of awareness that you can look at things objectively and do you know what I mean, and see that you need to take responsibility for some of the stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
But so many boys in there are lost and don't have that. Do you know what I mean? And that's the problem. That's why I don't really go back into jail, because I don't know how to raise that.
Yeah.
Because the system's broke.
Yep.
You know, for me the system's broke. So it's all right going in and spending an hour with a guy, but he needs to go back to that environment for the other 22 hours or 23 hours a day. Sometimes you see him once a week. You've got an hour, and then that guy's got to go and spend that week. No, I'm not saying you can't make a difference, but it's just through sheer grit that anybody that does that through prison, it's sheer grit, because everything in your thing is wanting to join the crew that's doing what they're doing. Do you know what I mean?
We're a community species, aren't we?
Yes.
We gravitate towards a bigger pack or whatever else.
I know.
To actually stand out and go like, I'm not willing to do this anymore. And a lot of folk whenever I was doing the recovery stuff, they're looking at us like, what the fuck's he up to? You know what I mean? What are you doing?
You're playing your ticket now.
You're playing your ticket. You to try to get 1 hour and all about. You're doing there for a biscuit and whatever else. But I was like, that's fine. Again,
you've got to let them.
Mate. But then you see folks start getting a wee bit inquisitive, like, what the kind of biscuits are they go doing that?
They see the change in you. I think your energy changes, and you can't hide that. It resonates. You know what I mean? Like, see, people can feel it.
Yep.
He is different. You know what I mean? It's like a change, and that it's an amazing thing to see, because it was hanging that. Who's the two recovery people up in Castle?
Louise,
Leanne and Louise Cracking.
brand new.
I really like them. Really like them. I would actually go back to Castle. I'd like to go to Castle and see them. Do you know what I mean? And maybe go up and see people up there. But because there was some good people, but you then used to get people that sniff on that. And listen,
it was my PO.
Russell would tell you to your face, I think he's deserve bread and water. Do you know what I mean? But at least he was kind of upfront about it. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I always say that when you go to Castle Huntly, the dynamics of prison change, because they've got so much power over you. Do you know what I mean? Right. It's mental how much power they've got. So on release, right? So you get on release on your home leaves and that. So is it on the home leaves and that you start thinking, I'm going to start making a difference in my community? Or
so I started while I was in there. Like, I was coming down the road. I was coming from Castle Huntly to Glenorchy twice a week. And then the other 3 days or 2 days or whatever, I was working a wee vegan cafe in Perth, Rascals Cafe. And I enjoyed what I was doing. And I thought, you know what? I've been training all my fucking life for this. And I've been studying my ass off in the jail, books, courses, whatever else. I thought, how can I make an impact out in society, but I had to make sure that I was in a good place first.
Aye.
I can't pour water out an empty jug, and this is the stuff that I hang with guys. Is you need to make sure that we were doing our core values, for example. Are you one of your core values? No. Well, how no? Because without you, none of the rest of them fucking exist. So make sure I was all right going through the homeless. I was putting a B&B, then it was a Premier Inn, then I got a wee flat up in Polbeth, and there was a part of a bigger hotel. And see, be honest, my social worker in the house no helped us.
Aye.
I knew I wanted to do some, but I didn't know what it was.
Aye.
Didn't know what it was. Went for a job. I was actually delivering kebabs just to get a couple of
Aye.
quid together, just to do what you've got
That's
today.
a good money these days. Aye.
That's all right, aye. And just see, a couple of pounds from my pocket.
Aye.
That was it. So done that. And
What
then
was it like going for having a few grand in your back pocket whenever you wanted to having that, like no having that, like having maybe change in that? Like what's the feeling like?
I think because I'd had that stint in jail, that nearly 3 year, there's no currency. You got a canteen sheet, everything's paid for with
Yeah.
vapes and noodles, that it didn't really hit us as much. And because I'd had the experience before, growing up with no lot,
Aye.
having everything lost in it,
Aye.
didn't really affect us. What I did enjoy was the freedom during the day to do what I wanted,
Aye.
and then being able to go out there and deliver a couple of pizzas and a couple of kebabs to back at 10, 11
Aye.
o'clock at night. Do you know what I mean?
And you've not got all the madness hanging out of our bills and all this, and need to chasing people up and all that. So you've got peace in your life.
Aye.
You know what I mean? Do you think that was the first time you felt peaceful?
I actually had a conversation with a pal of mine recently, and one of the boys I'm
Aye.
coaching, and he's been a lifelong pal, and he's like, "This is the most peace I've ever seen you."
Aye.
And I thought, now my head to still tell me, great idea, go back out, do a bit of graft, do a bit of this, go and see
Aye.
that, and he still due you money for 10 years ago, he's due you this, and
I know.
fuck off,
I know.
It's
I know.
just like, okay, mate, I'm going to go out, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to go deliver kebabs.
Aye.
And folk were like that. You sure? You sure? You got to drop a fucking bits of slabs of meat?
Put you down with my pal Lee.
I get him back out here. And it was good. Like I say, I've got a very loving family. No, my auntie, my two sisters, my brother, and my missus. My missus has fucking done so much for us in my release. We only met when I was at Castle Huntly.
Aye.
And to go to that, be careful what you wish for, I know.
Aye.
This time last year, I was wishing this and wishing that and whatever else. I've got it. It's got its trials and tribulations, but probably more at home and more at peace than I've ever been in my whole entire fucking life. Even when I was a wee guy.
No, I don't. I mean, you never say never, right? I'm not saying you never say never, but I don't. I think you've built a good enough base now that it. I mean, touch wood. I'm not meaning it that way, but I think you're going to just go from strength to strength now, and I think. So what happened? What was the big? Because obviously you're now active in the community, helping the community. How did that come about?
So it came about. I've basically put together all the stuff that I implement into my life, right? So sometimes it's called water dip, sometimes it's a gym, sometimes meditation or breathwork and whatever else. I thought, these are good tools, but how can I put them into layman's terms? How can I? Because I know hundreds of guys out there that are fucked.
Aye.
They've got 100 grand in the bank, but they're still fucked.
Aye.
How can I make this so? I said, how can I facilitate this to guys? This is what I want to do. Now, I went for a job. They've gone into prisons and got knocked back by the public protection unit. I was a fucking walk-in for the job.
Which is mad. That needs to change.
It's nuts.
And I'll tell you, Addiewell have got somebody who works in a lassie, Kerry Ann.
Mm-hmm.
She works. So I don't know how they can do it, but the SPS can. It shouldn't be. It should be across the board. Do you know what I mean? It's
I think
disgraceful.
it's because I was still looking license. So my license isn't finished until 2027.
Right.
But the thing is, I go into prisons and I volunteer with my own back through an organisation, Recovery Coaching Scotland.
I know.
So you'd be thinking, after all the good publicity on the website, fucking TV articles, all the work that we've done in Glenorchy, but this is all right. But this is a bunch of retired judges or lawyers, or whatever it is, the PPU. There's maybe there for terrorism and sexual offences and whatever else. I'm not a danger to the public. If I was a danger to the public, you wouldn't have let me out of Castle Huntly.
I know.
So the public protection unit is me going back into a prison. So that's not really the public, is it? So
No.
But it was the best thing that's ever happened to us. Well, one of the best things, because it gave me the chance. I'd be then working for somebody. I'd be then regurgitating
No,
their
I know.
information.
I think going into the prisons isn't your thing, Lee. I don't. I mean, listen, you can help, but I don't think. I think you're better off in you get wasted. Yeah, I think you get wasted in the jail. But if you're good at what you do, I think. And that's not to say there's no some great people in the jail. There's some amazing people working in the jail. But I think you get to a stage where you go like that, right? Am I really wanting to? Because see all the PVG stuff and all that would annoy me straight away. Like I'd just be going, do you know what? Fuck you, because I'm going in here to do a pure good job, and you're knocking me back for nothing really here. Like, but you want me to go in and volunteer for free?
I could do it for nothing, but I can't do it for
Do you know
something.
what I mean? No, fuck off.
That's
Do you know what
fucking
I mean?
nuts. And it's not like I understand the SPSA can't employ previous criminals now. I get that.
Aye.
I completely
They
get
can,
that.
but they've fucking done it. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what annoys me is like they do it when they want to do it. It's always when it suits them. When it suits them and it looks good. You know what I mean? And anyway, I'm not going to rant about it, but so it's done you a favour, because what happened after it?
So what happened for there was I knew what I wanted to do. So how do I go about this? And I thought, you know what? I've worked myself for the last X amount of years to then go and try and work for somebody and regurgitate their information. I thought I'm going to take the knowledge that I've got, the stuff that I've put together over the course of the last 3 years and studying and books and whatever else, and put it into a format that's going to help guys. But it's not just about guys trapped in addiction. If you actually look at the workshops that I've put together, I didn't mention addiction once. It's not about that. It's looking at our core values, looking at our limit belief systems, looking at inner child healing. So a lot of guys are like, fucking inner child healing, we're doing that meditating and stuff.
Aye.
But when you actually get them talking, no, I'm coaching a football team.
Aye.
A bunch of guys, a recovery football team that's been set up by a Parliament John McKnight, who football changing rooms, full of ego.
I know.
These guys aren't they?
Aye.
These guys are getting vulnerable, man.
Aye.
And it's about giving guys that platform where they can speak about their stuff, either on a one-to-one basis with one-to-one coaching, or but also unearthed was no everybody can afford one-to-one coaching.
No, and this is they're not because it's pricey to
course
get
it is.
to get somebody decent. It's pricey.
And it's an energy transfer.
I
See,
know.
if I could sit there, but somebody says, like, there's your mortgage is paid, you'll always have food in your belly, your family can go their holidays, you'll be like, I'll do this for free the rest of my life.
Aye,
But folk have got to eat.
I know.
Simple as that. So what I done was I realised that guys can't afford it, but these guys need to be able
I
to
know.
get this opportunity. And not just for my coaching, for the community. So
Aye.
what we do is I launched an app. So I put an app on board.
Aye,
So guys can touch base with not just me, with each other. Because all they're ever
Aye.
going to get is my perspective on things.
I know.
But maybe one of the guys is, I don't know, gone through courts to see his kids. I've not got that experience.
Aye,
But this boy might.
Aye.
That boy might. So it's trying to build that community, guys, where they can tap in with one
Aye.
another. Or on a daily basis, an hourly basis, if we really fucking need it. And we
definitely.
meet up every single week. Every Sunday we meet up, go for a cold water dip, and we would talk about our stuff. But in between there, you start seeing guys are pairing off,
Aye,
and guys are talking to each other. Some of the guys have been isolated in the house. With one guy who's terrified to come out after his last bit of meth,
aye,
and he done it in his end. He actually came out of a camp out with us, up
Aye.
at Lost, and they forgot all about it.
Aye,
And he's
neither-
like,
no,
I wonder if I
I
got
know,
4
aye.
bottles here.
I know.
Who's
Crazy.
done
I
that?
know.
Another guy who's gave up the smoke because he was going to see his missus. No, he was going through courts to see his kids. These guys are remain nameless, obviously. And he's like, see, I know she's going to find me for a drug test.
Aye,
He's now got access to his kids.
I know.
And it's through the support this guy. These guys maybe wouldn't have had that strength. But just
No,
tap
but I
in with
think,
each other.
see when you don't just label addiction and you don't just label, because this is what's needed. See, like with chaotic people, they need to learn about why they're being chaotic, and addiction's just a symptom of that chaotic behaviour.
Yep.
It allows you to do it, and it allows you to put the mask on to be chaotic and
Yep.
and live in that environment. See, when you take people away and you work on everything like the core values, and that's mad that you spoke. I was actually the day working on a wee app thing. I can't even, it's like an app builder I found,
Right.
and I was looking at it today for social sessions, and I was actually thinking I'm going to build an app for something similar, like round about this kind of thing. And I think it was what you were talking about, but obviously I was going to do it kind of through a kind of law attraction kind of way. Do you know what I mean? But it was mad just saying that because I was looking at it today. I was actually just working on it today, and then it came up and said, "Fucking need to buy me a credits or something for it." I can't. Like, see, just before I come out, I was like, so I don't know. I'm going to look at it and go back and see if it's worth it. But I think when you get to the stage where you realise that spiritual's a thing, right? Spirituality's a thing, and I think people need to realise whether you're whatever you want to call it. I don't know how you, because a lot of people are religious, so you need to build your spirit up. Your spirit's a big thing. See, like myself, right? I'm confident I could go and speak in front of 100 people, 1,000 people, but my self-esteem's not great, right? My self-esteem's quite low at times, and I can be quite, like, people think I've got stuff also. My organisation skills will take a Paul will tell you, fuck man, he's like, it's, do you know what I mean? It's like people see you and think they've got an idea when you've know you can be. My head's all over the place at times. Do you know what I mean? And I think what you've done, Lee, is you've managed to bring a lot of stuff together and recognise the problems that's going on in the prison. And I think what you've done is great. I really do. I think there should be more of it, and I think there should be more promotion of it, to be honest. I think so. Look, I'll just talk you. I'll kind of talk you through. Like, imagine I was a client and I was coming and like I was coming for just out of the prison. What kind of stuff would you set up for me?
So we try to identify what your needs are to start with. It's not about what I can offer you. It's about what your needs are. I mean, you might be coming to me for addictive, addiction. You may be coming with homelessness. There's certain things that we can't help with. No, I mean, we can't go in there and start, get say at the door, right, go and give him money, or go to the house and go and give him a house. But we can help guide you with all that kind of stuff. The guys I'm working with now, they come from all walks of life. I mean, it's no just addiction or prison. There's fucking millionaires. There's guys here that have got the thing you're saying. It looks like he's got his shit together. But we try to identify what your needs are. Try to say, right, so what's going on for you? What's happening right this very second? What's immediately needing taken care of? Do you need a roof over your head? Do you need this? Do you need that? Then be like, right, how long are you? Do you know what it is we do? Do you know what I mean? We're here about doing that self-exploration stuff. If you're just wanting to go out there and party, that's fine. That's entirely up to you. But we're here to look at the behaviours and the patterns and that kind of drive you towards that. And it terrifies a lot of folks, Sean.
I can imagine so. I can imagine, because I'm only thinking from my perspective, right? If I was coming to you, there's a certain like thing in me, like avoid. We were talking about it earlier, like with my case that terrifies me. Like because I've not met that head on yet. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know how. I don't know if it's. I don't know how to, or I don't know. So is that something that you would?
It's
help
something
me
we
with?
work out. What we would like to do is first, we like to get our why. No, what it is that we're trying to achieve. Why do we want to do all this kind of work in the first place? Do you know what I mean? And that's looking at your core values. And it's not just, if I say to you, Sean, go and give me a list of 5 things that's important to you. You got to say what you think I want you to hear, or what you want the society to expect for you, your family, your job, whatever. But not, it looks like your past experiences. When have you felt most happy, alive, or fulfilled? What qualities or principles matter to you at this time? We're sitting, but these are just like pointers for conversation and dialogue. What 3 things do you want to be remembered for? Imagine it's your funeral. What do you want 3 folk to be? What 3 things you want folk to be saying about you? If you start noticing patterns that come out, and there is a good chance it'll be you, your family, kids, whatever else. But it's looking at your reasons why. But these aren't just your why. These are also tools in your fucking armory.
Yeah.
So whenever you're looking at limiting beliefs and inner child healing, acceptance and forgiveness, with these fucking SARE modules, man, we're going right back to wee Sean.
I know.
And going right back to, it doesn't need to be wee Sean, a wee guy. It could be wee Sean that was in there for 15 fucking years. And going like that, right, so when you regurgitate that, look at your core values, lean into them. Maybe your family's one of them. Go and spend some fucking time with them. Be present with them. Go and spend some time in your own. So we don't go into the unhelpful coping strategies, what to pull somebody out of a car, what to go and fucking go get a bag of gear or a bottle or whatever. And we dig. What's the first thing a nurse does when you go in with a cut? She fucking digs it out. Do you know what I mean? So that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. Also, let guys know, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not even a fucking counsellor. I'm just somebody who's done the work on his cell and continues to do so.
And you've built a community as well, I think, which is good, like for guys to get kind of vulnerable, because I think we both know that the some guys are out there, some of the biggest, hardest guys that the papers have named, I've sat in cells with them and they've great, or they've opened up to me and told me how they really feel and whatever. Do you know what I mean? And I've been lucky to experience that. Do you know what I mean? That somebody trusts you enough to open up and talk to you.
Mm.
But my thing is always trying to steer the young team away from that and how going, look, this is the end product, but it's trying to get people like yourself who will talk openly because a lot of guys can't.
Mhm.
And a lot of guys go, no, no, I just wouldn't want anybody knowing this about me. That
But then
I'm,
that's so that comes with the work is why can't you talk?
aye.
Why can you not talk vulnerably?
So
Why,
see, I
how
was to
can you?
say to you, like, well, all my pals and my enemies would see that.
Mhm.
They would say I was vulnerable.
So what you're really inferior? You're really inferior their opinions of you, or you're really inferior what folk are going to think of you?
Aye.
Because then you're never ever going to be free.
Yeah,
You're never going to be free, man. You'll constantly be thinking what's he saying, what she's saying, what they saying, what they thinking.
I
Once
know.
you get that to that pace of self-actualization, where I can sit in that camera and I can cry,
Aye.
or I can sit there and talk about fucking what's went on for us when I was a wee guy. Once you get that freedom and that flow going, and I'm
Aye.
not saying it comes overnight,
No,
but you
no.
don't need to tell everybody everything.
I
You
know
know
what
what
you
I mean?
mean.
But
Aye.
you need to get that fortress, or you're constantly fucking trapped. You think you're
Mhm.
free because you keep everything to yourself. You don't show any weaknesses or kinks in your armor. It's fucking bullshit, man.
I know, I know.
Bullshit. It's because like that. No, these are my weaknesses. These are my shadows. These are the things that affect me.
Aye.
You don't need to tell everybody them, but it's about being aware of them.
Aye.
And we're going like that. Well, but doing the work on it, no. Looking at why certain things affect us. Why does people's opinions feel affect us so much? Or the enemies or your
I know.
pals or whatever? Is it because somebody said you're fucking shan trainers when you're a wee guy? Or there's things like that will happen.
And a lot of time that will be. It'll be like what happened to you at school, or did you get bullied at school, or do you know what I mean? These are the things that come up. Do you know what I mean? And it's dealing with that. It sounds weird. I always tell people to do this, and whether they do it or no, but see the best way to find out your own moral compass and core values. You've probably read this book. Um, it tells you to go away and like imagine you were like 100-year old, and like your grandson comes to you and goes, "Tell me about life. Tell me what you do." Spend half an hour writing out, write out like what you would say to your grandson, what you would want him to do, the values you would want him to have,
Mhm.
the morals that you would want him to have, and how you would want him to carry himself in his life. That's actually you. You know what I mean? So that's you. It's only you, but you're trying to portray that to a like your wee grandson.
Mhm.
But their values are the values that you have, that
100%.
you kind of um the values that that you maybe are not living up to, or the morals that you're not living up to. And that's why you're in conflict.
Mhm.
You're in conflict with yourself because you're not living up to the standards that you would want to live by. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you're not living up to your own expectations. So you try and live that through other folk. And this is something I say to the guys whenever we're in discussion or we're doing some coaching is, no, what advice would you give your kid?
Yeah.
Take that advice.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? So, for example, so and so is bullying the wee in at school.
Aye.
What advice would you give? Go and tell a teacher. Go and do this. Go and do that.
Aye.
Take that advice. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
But you need to be able to practice it. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Because we're very, very good at getting all these different
Oh
opinions and whatever.
yeah.
But
No,
we're all
like,
fucking
definitely.
spiritual
Aye.
gurus,
Aye.
man. We're all doing this. And then when
Aye.
you sit in the house, your fucking head busting.
I
And all that.
know.
Practice what you're actually preaching, man. Whenever I came out of jail, so I've not got a plan B.
Aye.
I went out and sat a couple of appointments with my mate's roofing company, and I was like, that's my background. He was like, I was out, go and sit a few appointments. So my heart is not in this, man. Plan B, and it's been my true, authentic self.
Aye.
And it's not going out there fucking walking about my bare feet and all that kind of stuff. No, all the time, but it's about just no willing to be. I daily inventory. Do you know what I mean? You sit there and think to myself,
Aye.
have I been a cunt to anybody today? Have I been a cunt to myself?
Aye.
And be able to have open dialogue with my partner. At least once every week or 2 weeks, we'll put the phones down, we'll go for breakfast, and we'll actually have discussions where you can talk without judgment and fear.
Aye.
And
Aye.
I do the same. So she can say, you're a bit of a prick last Wednesday. And I'm like, you've got to listen to it.
Aye.
You listen to it, we'll sit. And she'll say this and that and whatever else. And I sit and reflect it and like, I'll take it on board, thanks.
Aye.
And then vice versa. But then we also get doing to, is there anything I can do for you today?
Aye.
I'm trying to have conversations with other people in my
Mhm.
life where they're getting that true authenticity, where they get the chance to show vulnerability, because vulnerability does breed other vulnerability. Once you start
Definitely.
talking about your stuff, once you start, I do it when I've got guys I'm coaching. Tell them my story. It's all I can ever tell them.
Aye.
No, it's not about me. This is what I've done and this is what I've. You start seeing folk melting. And it's
No,
fucking amazing.
and you can listen. You can just tell by you the way you conduct yourself and the way that you talk and that you are being authentically. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's amazing. The world needs more of that, and I think especially boys for the prison and stuff. Listen, we could go into it but they've got a chance at HMP Glasgow they've spent £1 billion. Now, what the fuck what could you do with £1 billion, man? Come on, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like I'm expecting a machine here that's going to be pumping out rehabilitated people. I know it's not going to be, but that's the sad thing. The £900 million over, still ticking, and I know for a fact it's just going to be fancy Berlin.
Surely you'd be thinking to yourself, if this model hasn't worked for all that time, to the point we need to build a super big fuck off prison to accommodate for more and more folk coming through the door, which will be doubled up cells and whatever else at maximum capacity as soon as it opens the fucking doors. Must be having to be able to look at yourself like, something's not working here.
I know. I always go back to the special unit, and anybody that watches this needs to go and watch that documentary about the special unit where you had Jimmy Boyle, Johnny Boy Steele, who's a good pal of mine. I love Johnny Boy, love Joe and all, but Larry Winters, like Cokie, they took the worst prisoners in the prison system, and 3 reoffended out of 40. Now, see if you were to get that rate, imagine you had that rate. That's a phenomenal rate. What is it? I don't even know. It's not above 90% or something. So why would you know? Now, I know it's a lot of money and it's a lot of investment, but see for society, if society wants to have, because most guys have got to get out for the jail. So do you want your next door neighbour to be a rehabilitated character that's going to be willing to go and help you, maybe with the shopping or whatever? Or do you want him one day when he's mad, he's going to steal your shopping? You know what I mean? And that is the difference. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get to the different. That's what you're getting when you're coming out. Because if you send somebody out that's got a spice habit and they're fucked and they've never done any work in their cell, it's not going to take very long to that guy reoffends. No. You know what I mean?
No, definitely not.
But so it seems we're coming up to the end of the podcast, Lee, right? I've really enjoyed it. It's been a brilliant podcast, and I think anybody. So I'm going to leave you with a final message just for anybody that's watching this. Anybody that wants to get in touch with you, anybody that wants to kind of get in touch with you on social media where they can find you. But anybody that's watching this that maybe is struggling, that's having a hard time, what would you say to them?
Didn't listen to your own head. Didn't listen to your own head. Your head's a lying bastard. You know what I mean? If we listen to that voice that constantly bashes us up all the time, we're never ever going to be free. Never going to be free. What do you think about it? If you can hear that voice inside your head fucking telling you you're worthless, telling you you're a cunt, telling you you're this, you're that, you're the one that's hearing it. It's not you doing the talking. Your past experiences that have reshaped that. There is a way out. There is many opportunities out there. You've got clinical people and doctors and whatever else, but you've also got people who have got lived experience, who have been training for this all their fucking life, Sean. Training for these opportunities. I only work with men, with day-to-day group settings with men and women at a wee space I've got in Larkall. So I've got the Fallout Bunker for men and LG Wellness for the one-to-one coaching. And there is a better way to live. You know what I mean? If you'd asked me back in 2018, would I be sitting here doing a podcast on my life or the opportunities now? Nah, mate, I was fucking pushing out the road to try and fucking smoke tailnails. You know what I mean? It was doing whatever I could take. You're worth more than that. You're worth more than what your head will ever tell you. And there is opportunities out there with people. They can only put their hand out. It's up to you to put your hand.
Brilliant. No, Lee, thank you very much for coming on. It's been brilliant. Cheers. Thank you. Cheers.